Back with you. This is the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for being with us. The Gallo Radio Show tomorrow will be at the Mississippi Coliseum for the annual Hobnob, hosted by the Mississippi Economic Council. Hear from political leaders, experience a day of networking and great food. To learn more or to register, go to mec.ms. That's mec.ms. In fact, the last time I had a chance to visit with Courtney Taylor was at an MEC event in Jackson as well. She is in studio this morning, Executive Director of Accelerate Mississippi. Good morning. Great to see you again.
Good morning. It's good to see you, Richard. How's it going?
Great. Guess where I was yesterday afternoon?
Where were you yesterday afternoon?
So I've got three kids.
Okay.
Youngest daughter is 7. This summer
were
on
y'all
vacation.
Riding horses?
She was. Yep. I thought that might make you smile a little bit. We went to Colorado this summer, and it was the first time she'd really been around horses. And when I tell you loved it, I'm talking a grin ear to ear, and enjoyed the stuff like in the stable, around the barn, taking care of them as much as anything else. And so we got home, and my wife was like, we got to look into this. I'm not so sure that this is an inexpensive hobby that potentially we have looked into, but it's pretty cool watching a 7-year-old. I mean, you're talking about scale, her sitting on top of this 2,000-pound animal, and she's just as comfortable as she can be.
And it lets her, and it's happy to do that. And she will be loved by that animal, and you will never have to worry about a boy. And, that's all you can ask for.
Well, we don't own this animal. We are not that far down the road, not anywhere close. But
you're a couple years away from that, Richard.
She and Chip seem to be getting along just fine yesterday. So,
awesome. You just introduced her to the most expensive hobby on earth, by the way.
I recognize that. Thank you. Well, it's her mother's fault. This is on Jane, but I got to tell you, though, it was so cool just to kind of stand ringside and just kind of watch her comfortable and kind of figuring it out and learning on her own. And it's a really neat thing.
That's great.
I know that's a passion for you, but that's also not why we brought you in this morning.
No, but I mean, I'm happy to talk about it all day if you'd like.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about what we are doing to help grow the workforce in Mississippi. I guess it was about a week ago, an announcement by the governor, a partnership that's got multiple agencies in it. This new apprentice program. Tell us, let's start there.
Yeah, so, Mississippi Apprenticeship Accelerator is just kind of cementing a partnership between us and MDES and the Mississippi Apprenticeship Program. These are registered DOL apprenticeships who we also work with in this arrangement.
Okay.
To get them registered. Apprenticeships aren't for everybody. We recognize that, and we're happy to support other tools for those individuals. But we do have some companies who both have apprenticeships and they want more. And so we said, well, let's get together and kind of steamroll some paperwork, make it a little bit easier to help offset the cost of apprenticeships. Formal training by companies is increasing. It is increasingly difficult for some companies with some skill sets to bring the talent in. And it's hard for people sometimes to choose between work and school. They need to do both, and apprenticeships allow that opportunity. Gives them some formality and some opportunities to advance within the company. And the fun thing about it is people know when they start. This is when I'm going to get a raise. This is when this is going to happen. So the program allows us to fund up to 600 apprentices around the state. In pretty much every sector that has them, that wants them. So we're really excited. We're really excited about that.
How long does a program like that last for the for the apprentice?
So 2 to 4 years. So it depends on the amount of training and things like that. The traditional one is about 4 years.
So this is a way to eliminate or largely eliminate the cost of school, but and make a little money, but maybe not make the top end salary that you would make if you were fully licensed. Or am I reading that right?
It can be, yep. So in some cases, students will go to school and then they'll apprentice from there. And then in other cases, companies will send their employees to be apprentices. And they'll pay their tuition. And there's a lot of costs associated with formal apprenticeship programs because you are running everything in-house. Now, a lot of those programs utilize community colleges, private training providers. Build Mississippi, in this case, has their own apprenticeship, and they're expanding that as well in one of the other announcements. But But yeah, it's a little bit of everything, but it does allow the individual some time to grow with the company, grow with the skill sets that the companies have identified as important. And it's structured informal, which helps on the workforce side so that they know what they're getting on the front end.
Forgive me if this is an elementary question. We hear about internships all the time, right? College students doing internships in the summer or for a semester. How does an internship differ from an apprenticeship?
So it's similar, but it's usually really short in nature. So usually an apprenticeship is a few months to maybe 6 months max. Traditionally, the employer isn't necessarily they don't work for the employer. So they may work for a staffing company or something like that. Sometimes they work for the company, but they're usually really short in nature, designed to kind of grow the experience, get exposed to it, learn about it. They're a fantastic tool as well. We have really healthy internship programs across the state. And those also, we take those now down into, 10th grade, 11th grade, whenever students are able to go work. And they're just less formal, a little bit more flexible, a whole lot less paperwork.
Sure.
So it depends on the what's right for the company.
And that's like a two-way street of exposure, right? It's exposing the student to what a company is like or what a field is like, but also exposing the companies that do internships to that particular candidate. Whereas when we're talking about an apprenticeship, we're saying, I want to focus in this area. I want to grow in either this industry or with this company specifically, right?
Bingo. You'll also hear it termed on the education side as work-based learning. It's all in the same bucket, and it just really depends on what's right for the company and the individual.
What kind of programs are we talking about? What kind of fields?
So everything. Right now, we're really pushing electricians, plumbing, heavy equipment operators. We're even, you're even looking at the future where we're looking at internship or apprenticeships in teaching and things like that. So their apprenticeships are in every field: industrial maintenance, mechatronics for manufacturing and things like that, diesel mechanics. They're just kind of everywhere. A lot in the skilled trades. The apprenticeships have been primarily reserved in the skilled trades, but organizations are starting to use them for more professional jobs. And so that's making a big difference. But we are heavily focused on construction where we in certain regions of the state right now.
I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse, but we are going through a home renovation project right now. Most days it feels like a curse, but one of the issues that we've had and the contractor that we're working with is labor, right? I mean, and especially in exactly what you're talking about, electrician, plumbers. I have had multiple conversations with contractors who own companies, right? They hire people, they've got crews that they need, who have said, I would hire another electrician, another plumber today.
Yep.
If they were skilled and they showed up for work on time and did what they said they were going to do.
Yep.
Like, I can't believe that those are the only 2 or 3 contractors across the state of Mississippi that feel that way.
No, it's every state. It's it's across the country. It's we kind of turned a blind eye to those fields for a long time as a nation and forgot how important they were, and so now we're paying the price for it. And so that's part of what we're doing the work with Build Mississippi and ABC and those organizations. Forge up in Columbus. They're trying to expose kids to these careers. My parents' generation just doesn't really understand how good the opportunities are. They pay very well. You can work for somebody, you can work for yourself. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and that's part of what we're trying to do with a lot of the funding we have is encourage more of these programs to get stood up. High school level, community college level, I don't care where. Whoever wants to train, we want to get them trained so that people can find their way into those fields. They're kind of challenging to get into. Back in the old days, you kind of went into what your parents went into, and if your parents aren't in the field right now, then neither are you, and your grandparents may be. But it's a field where it's ripe for people to start retiring here pretty soon. So across the board.
Is it a stretch to say that someone who goes into this field as an entry-level electrician or plumber, works hard, has all of their credentials, is licensed, within a couple of years could be making a 6-figure salary? That's not a stretch, is it? It's
not. You can get in the field and stay at the entry level forever if you want also. But no, there are plenty of people, if you look around, in the horse world, I look around at the people who are buying the nice horses and driving the big trucks, and they're not government people. they are private industry owners. Usually they walk into owning their own business. They'll start small, hire a couple of guys, and then it kind of explodes from there. But yeah, that's where there's a lot of income potential there. There's a lot of work there. Those guys work really hard. They do.
There is no question about that, guys and gals, because there are opportunities regardless of sex within those industries. You got more time?
Yeah.
To hang with you for a little while longer?
Yeah.
Courtney Taylor, Executive Director, Accelerate Mississippi, talking about some of the opportunities that exist right now in Mississippi as this drive for continuing to develop our workforce continues. Quick time out. More with you. This is the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. We're back right after this. A remarkably insightful message on the C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395. The real between difference and imagined difference and a talking point. This person says, I've heard more about a true opportunity economy in the last 15 minutes than I have in the last 15 months from presidential candidate. I'm not, Courtney, I'm not pushing you in that direction. You don't have to go down that road. But this is real, right? When we talk about opportunities that exist in the workforce, Accelerate Mississippi, in conjunction with other agencies, is working to make that a reality for Mississippians, young and older in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, we want to make sure that we have opportunities for individuals. And that's not a talking point. That's legit. Like, that's what we're doing. That's what we're expected to do by the legislature and the governor is we've got to make sure we have opportunities for people to get into these jobs making more money. And it's at every level. You know, people are working longer today. But they're not going to potentially do the same, laborious jobs that they did for decades. So it's upskilling, reskilling, finding new things. It's across the board for everybody.
All right, so we talked about the Mississippi Apprentice Accelerator. I think I got that right. What about the RECONNECT program?
Yeah, so we're real excited about the RECONNECT. Central Mississippi Planning and Development District is our first award out of that program. And that program was designed because we know we have some people on the sidelines, not as many as, people want to, freak out about. But we do have people who are on the sidelines who, in some cases don't know where to go. It's a very confusing world. We have the internet, and all the information is on the internet if you can find it. And so trying to make that easier for people. If you want to go work for X company, this is the path to get there. And so we're trying some things out with them. Build Mississippi is really in that partnership. Hines Community College, Holmes Community College. We're doing everything from there's a 4-week, you're going to hear the words information infrastructure. And that's just trying to make construction a little bit more attractive for people who aren't used to it. And so what people are, like with Amazon, what people are hearing is all about Amazon, is the data center. It's what kind of the sexier jobs are. And what we're trying to help them understand is none of those jobs exist unless we can build the facility. Yeah. And so we're building, trying to help our companies get the talent that they need. And so Central Mississippi is going to train a ton of people in the next couple of years. And that takes a lot of work. Open enrollment classes like this, which means basically it's a non-degree in the beginning. It's a non-degree program. It's outside of normal hours usually. So people have to invest a good bit of time and their personal resources in it, and for something that they potentially don't understand. So the information infrastructure program, it's a pre-apprenticeship, is part of this, and it allows us to expose people to across the gamut of construction, electrical, plumbing, just kind of the things in the HVAC, things that they can come in, put their hands on, and say, okay, this is the thing that lights me up. So we're real excited about that. Build Mississippi has some apprenticeship programs at night, and so they are working with us to do daytime training. They're working with some high schools in the area. I mean, there's no holds barred right now. It's if you're of age to work and you want a good opportunity, we want to have the training there for you as often as possible.
I'm sure you've seen the stories recently, whether it's Wall Street Journal or otherwise. You mentioned HVAC, and this is what kind of prompted me to think about this. Private equity has come in and has started buying up service companies, right? I mean, mom and pop operations. You mentioned a second ago that you've got a lot of people who are retiring out of trade occupations, and so they are looking to sell if they're not going to pass the company on to a family member. and they're not going to sell it locally. They're looking for an opportunity. And so private equity groups are coming in and they're writing big checks for these companies. That strikes me as creating opportunity on two fronts. One, perhaps if a larger company owns you and there's an opportunity for higher wages than maybe if you were working for a sole proprietor. But two, there are a lot of people that still want to do business with local companies. And so there are opportunities that exist within local communities as some of those, I don't mean this in a derogatory term at all. Sometimes it gets labeled that. Some mom and pop type organizations, smaller local companies are going away. There are opportunities to fill some of those gaps.
Yeah, I think it also kind of brings a lot more attention to it. And I think the old school mentality is like, oh, man, that guy's just a plumber. And it's like, have you seen what that plumber makes? But we also tend to think about those organizations. Like when I say the word plumber, most people immediately think of a guy like unstopping a toilet. And the mom and pop moving
Which,
from
by
that
the way,
model.
When you need a toilet unstopped,
Absolutely.
who you calling? And how important is that plumber in that moment?
Yeah, look, we were building a fence a couple years ago in the middle of January, and we hit the water line because it was about 6 inches away from where we thought it was.
Yep.
And we had no water to our house, and so we had to run like 5,000 feet of new water line, and I can promise you we were not going to do it faster than the plumber did.
No.
But they also, they build these new facilities. They build in clean environments that people just don't think about. You only think about the emergency situations. So I think it's interesting to see those new companies coming in and buying it up. They wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't money there. So I also think for as we're looking at our children, like there's opportunities there. And then in some cases they de-risk that environment just a little bit by doing that. If you're new and you have to suddenly go buy $200,000 worth of equipment and tools and trucks and whatever, that might be daunting. And so maybe they don't have to anymore. But I think it's an interesting concept.
I'm visiting with Courtney Taylor, Executive Director, Accelerate Mississippi. What about the person that has been doing the same thing for a long time? And they need a change, they want to change, they're bored, they're burned out, and they want to get into a new field. Are there programs that exist for that person?
Yeah, so I think it's, yes, there's community college programs, university programs, for credit, non-credit. When I say non-credit, it just means it doesn't necessarily lead directly to a degree. And people don't get a lot of exposure to those programs because they're just not marketed in the same way. But a lot of these efforts also include upskilling and reskilling opportunities. And so there's nothing that would stop someone who is working and says, I don't want to do this anymore. Or maybe they've realized that they're going to top out at $18 an hour and they can take a little jaunt over here and they could go up to $30 an hour. So yeah, all of those training programs exist. There's your local workforce development areas offer up what they call WIOA, which for individual training accounts for people who qualify. So there's even funding for these things. It really is, you got to figure out what's that step you want to make. And that's the hardest part. That's why we have our career coaches in high school. That's why we're examining, what do we need to be doing as a state to better coordinate on the adult side, because we have adult career coaches in different capacities. They're really more navigating systems and such. But we're really trying to dig down into there. But we don't have a shortage of programs that would allow people to get to the next step in many cases if they're already working. It's just helping them get connected if they're not in the geographic area.
We've been talking for 20 or so minutes, and somebody's listening, and they've heard something that kind of struck them. And like, you know what, I want to dig on that a little bit more. I need to learn a little bit more about that. How should they find out more?
So start with AccelerateMS.org. That's our website. There's a way to contact us on there, and we can help dig down into whatever. We can connect them with one of our coordinators who can, from their region, that can help walk them through what's available, what's there, and maybe identify what's not and see where we go from there.
All right. Very good. Really, as always, appreciate your time. MEC event tomorrow. You there?
I will be.
You'll be at Hobnob?
Yep.
Look forward to seeing you.
You too. Appreciate it.
You may not be there as bright and early as you were last time.
No.
I don't know that you're going to be there in the 6 o'clock hour.
No, I will not. Maybe more about the time it starts. Probably rolling in on two wheels.
There you go. Courtney, thanks so much for your time. Continued success, continued hard work, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you. See you later, Richard. Courtney
Taylor, Executive Director, Accelerate Mississippi, doing a lot of good stuff. And you heard the website, AccelerateMS.org, I think. I think that was right. I'm going to double check it.
It's right. .org.
Okay. Yeah. AccelerateMS.org as a starting point. You're just curious about all the programs that are in place. Check them out. So we talked about the Apprenticeship Accelerator and also the Mississippi RECONNECT program. A lot of good things happening through Accelerate Mississippi, and frankly, a lot of opportunities out there, Lance. I mean, that's something that you and I have kicked around a little bit. We both have done different things within our careers. We've had changes and along the way, and sometimes you need a fresh start or a refresh or a reboot. And
buddy, let me tell you, when COVID hit, I sat around for about a month. And then I was like, I always wanted to do electrical work. I always wanted to learn how to do electrical work. I've restored some houses and things of that nature, made some good money doing it, hung sheetrock. I went and hung out with a sheetrock crew for a couple of days, and they said, look, you're not going to hang anything, but we're going to let you carry everything. I said, all right, that's where you start. But it was so funny learning some of the electrical stuff during COVID. Worked with a guy out of Oxford and learned a ton, man. And let me tell you something. You're right. If you could find somebody qualified to do that work. I mean, I had no qualifications, but he knew that I had the work ethic to learn. And he taught me so much. I mean, in a week, not that I could have gone and wired a house, but buddy, let me tell you, the dollar signs are right there in front of you, and you can fill your pocketbook and your wallet and your account with all that money and work that's going to get thrown at you if you're any good at it. I promise you. I mean, it's an amazing field to be in, and you just got to take a little time and learn. And the accelerated apprenticeship stuff, that is huge. Yeah, I'll say it, because then that people see them dollar signs a little quicker, and get it in that pocket a little faster.
C-Spire text line, private equity is generally targeting service businesses with EBITDA anywhere beyond $50 million annually. Yes, but in the absence of that opportunity, they are buying multiple companies in markets to try and kind of pool that. There's a lot of opportunity out there. We'll be back. This is the Gallo Radio Show.